Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Spencer Ruckty. I'm here at Third Place Books in Seattle, Washington. Thank you all for tuning in. We're very excited to have Mac Barnett and Mike Lowery, the co-creators of the Mac Be Kid Spy series, with us this afternoon. And today we are celebrating the sixth book in the series, Mac Saves the World. Virtual events might not be nearly as fun as having you all here at our Lake Forest Park store, but one of the miraculous things about events like today's is that we can bring you authors still in an intimate setting from all across the world. So first and foremost, I just want to thank you all for watching and for supporting independent bookstores. You can find more about our full event calendar lineup on our website at thirdplacebooks.com, where I also definitely I encourage you to sign up for our email newsletter. Our newsletter is the best way to find out about new events and other major announcements as we return to hosting authors inside our stores at last. In a couple minutes, I'll be sharing with you a link to purchase Mac Saves the World in the Zoom chat, which is at the bottom of your screen. Mac Saves the World has everything you've come to love from the Mac Be Kid Spy series: historically accurate recaps of East German Soviet conflicts, beautiful tricolored illustrations from Mike Lowery, and of course, completely true stories from the childhood of Mac Barnett. If you're in the Seattle area, you can order with us online, or you can just swing by any one of our locations at Lake Forest Park, Ravenna, or Seward Park. We're happily open to the public and love seeing you all in person. But if you're not local, no problem. We also ship all across the country. The other cool thing about your purchases today is that your copy will also come with a very convincing fake mustache for espionage purposes, a book plate signed by Mac Barnett, and while supplies last, we have a few left of these really rad lenticular bookmarks that change as you move them around, if you can see that. During today's event, I'd also love to remind you that the chat window is at the bottom of your screen and it's wide open, and we encourage you to use it. We'll also have time for your questions at the end of this event. So if you have questions for our authors, please submit those in the Q&A window below, which is separate from the chat window at the bottom of your screen. And one last thing, you should also see an option to turn on closed captioning at the bottom of your Zoom window. Feel free to turn this on and off as you wish. Zoom has an auto captioning feature that's kind of frighteningly accurate, but it is there if you need it. But enough technical stuff out of the way. So I'm going to start off by introducing Mac Barnett. Mac Barnett is the author of several books for children, including Extra Yarn, illustrated by Jon Klassen, The Wolf, the Duck, and the Mouse, which is a New York Times bestseller, Sam and Dave Dig a Hole, and The Important Thing About Margaret Wise Brown. He is the co-author with Jory John of the best-selling series The Terrible Two, and his books have received the Caldecott Honor, the E.B. White Read Aloud Award, and the Boston Globe Horn Book Award. And with that out of the way, I will get out of the way here. Please join me in welcoming Mac Barnett.
Oh, thank you so much, Spencer. Thank you, Third Place Books, for having me. I was so excited. You all saw I came in a little early. I could hardly wait to join you all again. Welcome back to a very special edition of, oh boy, here we go. Okay, here's Henry. Yep. Henry, you gotta, if you're gonna do that, you should at least look in the camera. There we go. Of Mac's Book Club Show, Chapter Books After Dark, where today only we gather, we sit back, we relax, we get comfortable. We pour ourselves a glass of milk, and we just devote ourselves to the finer things here. That's why I'm so dressed up. The finer things in life, like chapter books. Now, some of you may have joined me last year, starting in March, when every day I would get onto Instagram as the sun set and would read a chapter from Mac Be Kid Spy, #1, Mac Undercover. We're doing that again as a very special thing because the 6th Mac Be Kid Spy just came out. So Third Place Books was kind enough to host a very special Chapter Books After Dark. It's wonderful to be back here with you. I have to say, I am a little nervous. We've got a very big edition of Chapter Books After Dark with some amazing surprise guests today. And I'm also nervous because I to be honest, even though I've written 51 books, and I talk to kids all the time about writing and my work. I get a little nervous when I talk about this series because it's a little different from most of my work. A lot of what I write is fiction. Triangle. It's about a talking triangle. That's fiction. It's just made up, right? If you don't know what fiction means it comes out of the author's imagination. But Mac B. Kid Spy is a little different. It is my memoir, or as some people say, people like me, my memoir. And in fact, right now, I'd just like to pause and maybe take a moment for all of you out there to say, along with me, on the count of 3, memoir. 1, 2, 3. Memoir. Ooh la la. That was fantastic. Around the world. Memoirs spoken around the world. That's a beautiful thing that just happened. Now, a memoir is filled with the author's memories. So these books are full of my memories of when I was a kid, like all of you, the people I knew, the places I went, the things I did, especially all of the spy missions I went on around the world for the Queen of England. So before I go any further and read to you even page 1 of chapter 1 of one of these books, I have to read you something that comes before page 1. And I know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, Mac Barnett, this is the best virtual author event I've ever seen in my life. But how can a page come before page 1? That's ridiculous. I used to think the same way you think, but then I studied, I meditated, I researched, and finally I did it. I wrote an author's note. And I'll read it to you right now. A note from the author. My name is Mac Barnett. I am an author. But before I was an author, I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I was a spy. An author's job is to make up stories, but the story you're about to read is true. This actually happened to me. Now, look, before we get into it, as I said, we do have some special guests today, and whoa, some special noises too. As Spencer said, one of the great things about virtual events is we can have viewers tuning in from around the world, as I'm sure many of you are. We can also have guests from around the world. Mike Lowery is going to come a little bit later. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia. But actually, I think zooming in right now, I asked her to very politely at 3:11 Pacific time to hop on this Zoom. And she's very hard to book, but here we go. Please welcome on Zoom, live, the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II. Here we go. I think she's, yeah, let's try that one more time. Maybe she's a little late. Please welcome everybody live right now. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm getting a phone call. I set my phone to vibrate, but here, let me grab this. This is, all right. Hello?
Hello. May I speak to Mac?
Yeah, speaking.
Mac, this is the Queen of England.
Oh, hey, what are you up
What
to?
a ridiculous question. I'm calling in to your little virtual event.
Okay, well, yeah, I sent you a Zoom link, so maybe you could
Mac,
click.
I am a queen. I do not Zoom.
Okay.
Still, I am delighted that all these children have gathered to celebrate these wonderful books about my life.
Well, they're about my life, actually, so.
I know you're in the books, Mac, but I am the protagonist.
Well, no, I'm the protagonist.
Wrong. And so, Even though it is 11 p.m. in England, which is a ridiculous time to put on an event, I am delighted to have this opportunity to say hello to all my fans.
Oh, that's really nice. So,
Hello, Stephanie. Hello, Maria. Happy birthday, Calvin. Hello, Barnaby. Hello, Persephone.
all right, I think we don't have time to say hello to everybody. So that's, I think.
Hello, Malvolio.
Okay.
Hello.
I think we're just gonna hang up. We're gonna hang up. And thank you so much to the Queen of England. Please give her a huge round of applause for. I wish she had clicked that Zoom link, but you know who did click the Zoom link? Mike Lowery. Mike, would you join us? This is the illustrator. Mike, how you doing? Oh, Mike, you also want to?
Oh.
Mike.
Hello.
Everybody, huge round of applause for the illustrator of the Macbee Kids Spy books, Mike Lowery. Thank you for joining us. Mike, what are you wearing? That's not a tuxedo.
Mac, once again, you called me just yesterday morning. In fact, I was still in bed in my nightcap. And you said, Mac Lowery. And I said, Mac, I told you my name's Mike Lowery. You said, don't wear a tuxedo tomorrow. No one wants to see that. And you said, I'm going to wear a button-down shirt. And I said, okay, I'll do the same thing. But Mac, can I just say tonight, I am not here as illustrator Mike Lowery. I am here as band leader and musical side guest here for your presentation. I mean, also Mike Lowery. I mean, it's still Mike Lowery. That part stayed the same. But so I have prepared a little bit of music to accompany your presentation tonight. Because as you know, back when you were doing spy stuff in the 80s, what was I doing?
Well,
you were an illustrator.
You were a famous musician in an electronic music band.
That's right. I was in an electronica band in the 80s in Germany.
What was your band called?
That's a good question. I'm sure you've heard of the band Kraftwerk.
Yeah, Kraftwerk.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We were called Mike. I was also a mechanic, and I was called Mike and the others, the background singers. Mike and the background singers.
That's really cool. I mean, Mike, this is really amazing because, as you also know from illustrating this book, I mean, music is often really important to the Macbee Kids Spy books.
That's
In fact,
right.
last time we talked a lot about New Kids on the Block. Do you do any
That's
New
right.
Kids on the Block covers, by the way? Is that a thing that you could do for us right now?
Yeah, I do one. Oh man, this takes me back. I do one New Kids on the Block cover, and it goes like this: hanging tough, we're hanging tough, we're the new kids on the block. Often people think it's not a cover. People often think that I'm Jordan.
Yeah, that's amazing. So this
You
is
seem
actually
emotional right now.
So Mike, one of the scenes in this book takes place in a dance club in West Berlin.
Okay.
Where people are dancing to a song that is played only on computers.
Right.
And did you draw yourself into the book right here? Is this? And sorry, and I said in West Berlin. In West Berlin, this is in.
Yeah, I would. That's why I was confused. I'm not sure. I actually haven't read the book. I did all of the drawings without reading it, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have, my wife sort of just tell me, now do just like a German scene. That's right. That is me in there. You
and
can
so
probably see me on stage.
Do you remember what song you were playing at this moment?
Oh, that's an easy one. That song was, it was something that kind of goes like this. It was party on the dance floor, party on the dance floor.
Oh.
It's about a party, but it's not happening in a traditional location. It's actually happening on a dance floor.
That's really cool. That's amazing. That's fantastic. And I'm sorry, it's really embarrassing that I got mixed up between East Berlin and West Berlin here, because that's actually a very important difference. And it was a big deal for me when I was a kid. I remember growing up. Adults were always talking. One, and if you've read the series, you know about the Cold War, which is like that's a weird term, right? A Cold War. I think you had a song called Cold War. Is that true?
I did. I had two songs called Cold War. I had Cold War Part A and B, right? The first one was like this. Oh, it's so cold in the cold, cold war. It's like a protesty kind of.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because that's what when I was a child, I was really confused because I thought that the Cold War had something to do with being cold, just like that. Like maybe it was taking place in a frozen place, and I knew it had to do with Russia, and that Siberia was in Russia, and it was cold there. But it turns out that I and your song were completely wrong. That it has nothing to do with being cold.
Right.
It's
My song is ironic, Mac. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah, I didn't get it. And what it actually has to do with it is that it's a war that is fought not on the battlefield, but with spies and with secret missions, and that actually it was never erupting into a hot war, but it was between two sides separated by another phrase that I just thought about all the time, which was the Iron Curtain. Adults were always talking about there was an Iron Curtain across Europe. In fact, you had a song called Iron Curtain. Isn't that true, Mike? Is that?
Yeah, that's true. I did. Oh, this takes me back. Here we go. It's during the Caldecott War, there was a curtain made out of iron.
And see, that brings up another really interesting point, because when I was a kid, I thought the same thing, that there was like an actual, like a wall, a curtain made out of iron, like really tough metal, going straight across Europe, dividing it into half, and that the two sides were at war with each other, that there was an actual curtain made of iron. It turns out that, like, as a kid, and your song too, your song is completely wrong about it. And that it's actually just sort of an imaginary curtain, a curtain that existed, drawn on a map, but wasn't actually a real wall, except in one place, in the city of Berlin, where there was a wall dividing East Berlin and West Berlin into halves. And West Berlin was on one side of the Cold War, and East Berlin was on the other side of the Cold War. And to get through this wall, you would have to go through a checkpoint. And that checkpoint is called Checkpoint Charlie. Now, there were a few, but the most famous one is called Checkpoint Charlie. And actually, one of my spy missions took me to Berlin, where I had to cross from West Berlin, which was part of the West, and countries like the United States and Great Britain, they were on one side of the Cold War, to East Berlin, where countries like the Soviet Union, where the KGB man, my mortal enemy, lived and worked, on the other side. And by the way, Mike, I'm reminded, you said you had two songs called Cold War. There was also Cold War Part B. Sorry, before I go any further, you can't leave us hanging. Can we hear Cold War Part B?
Yeah, let me see if I can remember how this one goes. I think it goes a little something like, put on your hat, put on your gloves, the Cold War's coming. Put on your hat. It's not really actually cold. It sort of was,
Just made it clear that it was like ironic.
Yeah. I just wanted, to give you a little history lesson there in music.
Cool. So I crossed Checkpoint Charlie on a foggy night. It was very tense because I was wearing a disguise. I had assumed a fake identity, and I knew that if I got caught, I would get arrested and thrown in spy jail, maybe for the rest of my life. So I thought I would read to you maybe a little bit from this part of Mac B. Kid Spy, number 6. This is Mac B. Kid Spy, number 6. Mac Saves the World, by me, Mac Barnett, illustrated by Mike Lowery. Just a quick side note. How many times did I get my name on the front cover of this book? 3 times. That is a world record, tying some of my other books in this series for the most number of times that an author has ever gotten their name on the front cover of a book. It's very exciting to have that record. I actually had a really cool idea to get my name on there a 4th time. I asked Mike Lowery if he would legally change his name to Mac Lowery. Have you thought about that at all?
You said illegally change my name. And you sent me the paperwork. It wasn't a suggestion so much as it was a strong urging for you to get me to do it. And I said, Mac, I won't do it. You know, I've been Mike Lowery for most of my life, and I wouldn't do it. And you were upset. You wanted me to change my name to Mac Lowery. I said no, and I went home and I ate a bowl of Mike and cheese. My rant is over, and
Mike, I was wondering if you would join me for a reading from Mac B. Kid Spy number 6, Mac Saves the World by Mac Barnett and illustrated by Mac Lowery.
Yeah, I would love to join you.
Chapter 12.
Would you like for me to read the pictures?
Charlie. This is Checkpoint Charlie. Checkpoint Charlie was a gap in the Berlin Wall where you could pass from one side of the city to the other. Ever since Berlin was divided in 2, the west side of Checkpoint Charlie was guarded by American soldiers. Instead of saying the letter C, American soldiers sometimes say Charlie. That way it's easier to understand on a walkie-talkie. So Checkpoint Charlie was just another way of saying Checkpoint C. Checkpoint Charlie is a much better name. You could only pass through the checkpoint if you had the right papers. I had the right papers, although those papers were fake, but hopefully nobody would notice that. It was before dawn, and Checkpoint Charlie was quiet. Thick mist hung in the air. Tall street lamps cut through the fog. I approached a white sign with big black letters. You are leaving the American sector. The sign made me gulp. A soldier popped out of a little metal shack. I handed him my papers. He took a quick look at them and waved me through. I walked along a metal fence. A watchtower rose up in front of me. I could make out the silhouettes of 2 soldiers up there. I could tell they were soldiers from their big caps. And although I couldn't see their eyes, I knew they were watching me. I hugged Freddie close. We were passing sandbags and fences. I was crossing from one country to another. I was straddling the Iron Curtain. At one moment, maybe that very moment, my body was in 2 worlds at the same time. I was afloat, I thought, a ghost on a map, drifting.
So you want me to read? I'm going to play the part of the German soldier. Is that right?
Yeah, if you could just come in and just.
Oh, okay. I'm ready.
Let's take that again. We're going to take that again.
Okay, German soldier. Here we go.
At one moment, maybe that very moment, my body was in 2 worlds at the same time. I was afloat, I thought, a ghost on a map, drifting.
Your documents.
A stern East German soldier interrupted my thoughts. He was standing in front of a striped barrier. Right, sorry, I said. I handed them over. He looked at them for a long time, frowning. Smile, I thought to myself. Look friendly. I smiled friendlily. The soldier looked up and noticed my smile. He kept frowning.
What do you do, Mr. Gibson?
You can call me Billy, I said.
I have to call you Mr. Gibson, Mr. Gibson.
Okay, I said. We stood in the mist, looking at each other. Oh, right. You asked me a question, I said. What do I do?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Your business, Mr. Gibson.
Oh, I said, I'm a musician. I'm in a band.
Und what is the name of this band?
I was not expecting so many questions. Oh, I said, we're called the Cyberpunks.
The Cyberpunks.
Punks with an X.
And this dog, he is also in the band?
I said, yes. The soldier's eyes widened.
I was joking.
He said. Well, I wasn't, I said. When you're lying, you often have the urge to tell more lies to make your first lie seem more convincing. This is almost always a bad idea. We just played a show, I said. It was such a good show.
You just played a show?
Said the
That was
guard.
British.
Yeah, I said.
And where are your instruments?
I smiled harder to buy myself some time to think. The soldier's frown deepened. I took my Game Boy out of my backpack. This is my instrument,
A Game Boy?
he said. Yeah, I said, it's the future of music. Check it out. I turned on my Game Boy. The Spy Master theme started playing. I turned the volume all the way up, but the music was swallowed by the night. Mike, can you give us like a little Spy Master theme? Swallowed by the night.
And the dog?
Said the soldier. He barks, I said, when he feels like it. It's art. The frowning soldier held my documents in the air.
You are telling me that you are in a band with a dog calling yourselves the Cyberpunks?
With an X, I said.
With an X, and your music is just a video game, sounds, and a barking dog?
Yes, I said. He stared at me. I gulped. And that is where we will stop. Oh, that was intense. Mike, how are you feeling?
Nervous maybe about my father-in-law's reaction to the German accent that I was doing.
Why? Where's your father-in-law from?
Germany.
Oh, okay.
Little town in Germany.
So we have some time now for questions, which let's see, you can put in the Q&A or in the chat. We'll check that out too. Mike, also, can I just ask you, does your German soldier, does he have like a backstory at all? Because I noticed he did sort of slip into a British accent. So I'm wondering like what's...
So, Mac, I don't know if you know this a lot, but
and I sorry to interrupt you again, Mike, but every time you draw a character in a book, you don't just draw that character and just you imagine their entire lives that they lived before showing up in the book.
I mean, first of all, not to interrupt you, Mac, but I don't consider myself someone who draws characters. The characters draw themselves. I am merely the vessel for which they end up, manifesting on the paper. You know that. These participants know that. This soldier, Gunther Vogelmeier, he studied for 3 years. And he says 3 years like this. I don't know. I'm sure you've seen this. You know. They don't say 3 like this. They say 3 like this.
Yep.
He studied at Cambridge.
So that's why.
Cambridge Driving University, which is in Boston, and he had an English-speaking professor there.
That's so interesting. That's fantastic. All right. So Maggie, age 5.
Would you like for me to read you some questions, Mac?
No, it's fine. You can dig in there. Let's both find some.
Okay.
Maggie, age 5, says, I make funny voices too. How do you make your funny voices? That's great. This is where I wish we could hear some of Maggie's funny voices. And the way that I think I don't know if this is true for you, Mike, but like I actually started making funny voices like that probably when I was Maggie's age. I would like to just imitate characters and try to learn a British accent. And I was just always into that kind of stuff. So Maggie, you are on the right track. Mike, how about you?
Interesting, Mac. So I'm just wondering if you could do any impressions for us. It seems like you've had a lot of time to practice them.
Well, so, and what Maggie must be talking about too is, I would say, because of course, today, I haven't done any funny voices. The Queen of England called.
That's right.
And then I did my voice as Mac Barnett, and then my voice as Kid Mac Barnett.
Yeah,
but I think what Maggie's probably referring to is last year, maybe she tuned into my Instagram. And by the way, this is a little secret for everybody here. So I read every chapter of Mac B Kid Spy out loud on my Instagram. That's at Mac Barnett. Put it up there. And I think it's still up there. I think I was supposed to take it down, but I didn't. So so watch it now before somebody watching this tells me to take it down.
Yeah.
So Maggie probably heard me do some funny voices there, and you all can too. But Mike, how about you? How did you do that funny German accent that's going to make your father-in-law angry?
You know, interesting. That's actually my normal voice, and the voice that I'm doing now is this sort of put on monotone thing that I do for these presentations.
Okay, that's fantastic. All right, so we're getting a ton of questions in along these lines. So Magnus says, "Tell me if Mac B is actually true or else." Then we have from Alice, "Were you actually a spy?" And finally, another one, maybe from Laura. "Hi, Mac Barnett." Sorry. I think Laura may just be related to our questioner. "Hi, Mac Barnett. My name is Lucas. How did you end up being a spy?" I just want to thank Lucas for not asking me whether I was a spy, because the answer is yes, as I said and keep saying. But how I actually became a spy. This is amazing. Is that if you've read book 1, you know my origin story. One day out of the blue, the Queen of England just called me and asked me to do her a favor. And I said yes without even asking what the favor is, which is a big mistake, by the way. If anybody ever asks you to do a favor, you should ask them what the favor is before you say yes. I didn't. I was a little starstruck to be talking to her, and she sent me on a secret mission. Now, that's the fact that readers of book 1 will know. But as a special fact that I'll tell everybody here, what I don't put in the book, because I think it's like a little embarrassing to the Queen of England, but there's a little behind the scenes thing. When she called me in 1989, she actually was calling me collect. Now, if you don't know what that means, this is a thing way back in the 1900s, the 1980s to be exact. You could make a collect call, which meant that even though you dialed the call, the person who answered had to pay for it. So it was very expensive, a long distance call like that coming from England. And I remember my mom she freaked out when she got our phone bill. She said, "Mac, why is there a collect call that we're having to pay for the Queen of England?" I couldn't believe it. I didn't know. I was really surprised. I remember I was thinking, I was like, she is one of the richest people in the world. Why is she making other people pay for her phone calls? Now that I've met some other really rich people, it's actually not that surprising that she did that. But at the time, I couldn't believe it. Mike, here's a question for you. Do you know Minecraft?
Oh, I do. And it's interesting. They have that, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in Germany in this book. And so I should tell you, over there, they call it Minecraft.
Mike, you actually have a song called Minecraft. Isn't that right?
I do. Let me try and think of how it goes. It goes something like building blocks, logo, Lego style, building on a computer. I'm surprised that you remembered that song. What's interesting is that I made that song about Minecraft in the 80s before the personal computer game Minecraft was even available. Yeah,
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Germany, that just means my craft. Is that right?
It does mean my craft. Very good. Yeah, very good, Mac.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you learn that on Duolingo?
I've never heard of it.
Okay.
All right.
I can ask you a question. Here's
Yeah,
a question for you, Mac. Look, listen, some people are really complimenting your outfit.
Oh. Are you sure it's not your outfit?
No, it says Mac. That's weird. It's a typo. It's Mike. You're hearing, you misheard. Do you have any spy tips for fellow spies, Mac?
Yeah, sure. So I actually think that now, of course, I should preface this by saying I'm retired. I'm a retired spy. I don't do that anymore. Now I'm a writer. But actually, being a spy and being a writer, they have a lot in common. And a lot of the spy skills I have helped me with my writing too. It always helps to carry a notebook around with you, so you can write down things that are interesting or weird or sort of catch your attention, anything that's out of the ordinary. As a spy, you have to be very attentive to that. But as a writer, you do too, because that's the stuff that you write about. It helps to listen very closely to what other people say, to like learn how they talk so that you could talk like them and impersonate them if you had to. Well, that's what you do as a writer too. You have to write in other people's voices all the time. And then the third thing I would say that is really good for a spy and also a writer is like wear shoes that don't squeak. And that's why I'm partial to Clark's Wallabies for that reason.
Here's another question for you, Mac. Did the Queen of England, now listen, we need the real deal on this, okay? Did the Queen of England really stick out her tongue? My dad is English and said the Queen of England would never do this.
Well, look, I don't want to get into a thing where like I disagree with your dad and tell him that he's wrong in front of
But what's his name?
100 children.
Yeah.
But your dad's wrong. Yeah.
Okay. Shannon is asking, can I be a spy?
Yeah, absolutely, Shannon. And that's a great question. Can you be a spy? Yeah, and you know what? You don't have to be spying all around the world, gallivanting about, getting onto planes. That I know that kind of spy lifestyle is not available to everyone. What I recommend is just spying on your family, just in your own house. That's a great place to start.
Yeah, that's a weird advice. So there's another question from Iris that says, will you be letting your children follow in your footsteps? Now, I want to say something for you. This is a little bit telling. I remember when I got your baby announcement and you decided to name your kid 00 Kevin, I thought that sounded like a spy thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's actually named after my wife's grandfather, but he wasn't a spy. He was just a really great guy. Okay. Mike.
Yeah.
We have a question here. Can you give us a how to draw? Now, this says how to draw Mac, but I don't want to like make this all about me. It could be how to draw anything from the MacB Kid Spy universe.
I have to move my synthesizer.
Well, first, but Mike, I think you should introduce this how to draw segment with a song played on your synthesizer. So
just put the synthesizer away, Mac. Okay, this song is about, this is like a drawing tutorials segment. Okay, I don't know what setting this is on. Let's go for it. Here we go. Ready? Drawing on the dance floor. All right. So this next segment, I'm going to do a little drawing for you, Mac. I'm going to try and do like the real quick version of this. So let me share my screen and I'm going to take you over to Photoshop and then let's do this in the chat. Hopefully you can see my drawing over here. Can you all see this okay?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Let's do this. I want to draw a quick spy for you because Mac, you mentioned you had to wear a lot of disguises. So what are some things that you think a spy would need to wear? Let's make a spy. We could do a spy kid or a spy dinosaur.
Let's do a spy dinosaur. That's good.
Let's do a spinosaur.
A spinus. A Spinosaurus.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
What would be something? Do you want to take some suggestions, or you want to throw it out to make it go
I
faster?
think that's a great idea. So if you want to throw into the chat, let's say, okay, Mike, let's think of a place that this dinosaur is going to go on a spy mission, right?
Yeah.
Like where is this dinosaur going to be?
Or maybe just something that, like, what's some clothing?
Well, no,
maybe
but
that
we're going to help the
would wear?
dinosaur blend in. Let's say this dinosaur is going, a classic spy thing. Let's say this dinosaur is going to a very fancy opening night at the opera. Okay.
Okay. So you're just wanting to go back to the tuxedo thing, which is
No, not at all. Not at all. Now, Mike, I know you wouldn't know how to dress appropriately for
okay.
opening night at the opera. So maybe kids watching at home, if you could throw into the chat some things that this dinosaur should wear so that they can blend in at the opening night of
the opera. So I'm going to assume, Mac, should we go ahead? I could, to kind of get things rolling. Do you think it's going to have any kind of eyewear? Maybe some like spy?
Well, if we're starting with the face, we have a suggestion of a mustache.
Okay, let's start with some mustache and let's list a couple of
Oh,
things.
no, eyewear. No, we have eyewear. I'm sorry, we have eyewear. A monocle. A monocle.
Okay. Okay, that's actually my favorite of the Friends characters.
Great.
All right, so there's a monocle here.
And then opera glasses on top of the monocle.
Okay.
That's really going to show.
I'll draw the opera glasses. What about a little hat? Do you think that is that common for opera?
Yep.
Okay. What's a typical opera hat, Mac?
People are saying a top hat, but beneath the top hat we want a wig.
Okay, sure.
Yep,
there's a wig. Yep.
Enjoy.
Okay. Here's the top hat.
Good.
It's got sort of like a wide brim top hat here. And then
Talia,
here's the wig.
Talia has we have a dress from Talia, a ball gown as a suggestion, and I think somebody said a glittery ball gown from Midgie.
Okay. So I'm going to draw this mustache that was mentioned earlier.
Fantastic.
Have you ever grown out a handlebar mustache, Mac?
You know, I tried and it didn't go great.
Same. Been there. All right. So, and then someone said a glittery ball gown.
A glittery ball gown. That is from Midgie.
All right. So I need to draw the other eye here. You almost made me forget. And then here is, now listen, Mac, this is a true story. It's going to sound like a joke, but this is actually a true story. So I'm getting ready to draw a gown here.
Yep.
Mike Lowery, taught, you know that I taught college for a long time.
I do know that.
What you didn't know is that there was one semester that I taught the history of fashion.
Really?
That is a true story. All right. This is a ball gown, right?
Yep.
It's got like a cinched little waist.
And it's glittery. And by the way, we just remind everybody, if you order a copy of Mac B Kid Spy from the wonderful Third Place Books, it will come with a mustache so you can fit in at the opera.
Okay, here's some opera glasses.
Some opera glasses. That's fantastic.
Okay. And what are we missing here?
You want some more? A brooch.
Okay.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You said a roach, right?
And we have long gloves and shoes that don't squeak. So perhaps some Clark's Wallabies.
Okay, I can draw some Clark's Wallabies. You know, I tried them once, Mac. I tried them when I was teaching. Weren't for me. They made my feet hot. Is that interesting? Is that interesting banter? Okay, there's some long gloves. This one is also over here. And then I will
Clark's Wallabies and then I think I
think we're out of time, right? So then we'll do let's see here. They kind of go like this, and then I remember that the sole is kind of like that.
That's right.
And And if I remember right, am I remembering that they're made out of kangaroo, right? Or no?
That's not true. But a special hello to all of our Australian.
Okay. Mac,
There
can
it
I ask you a
is.
question? Did I draw a dinosaur for you wearing a monocle and a top hat and a roach and some opera glasses and a glittery dress?
Yes.
Then why are you not clapping for me?
Let's give Mike a huge round of applause for this dinosaur ready for the opera. And thank you so much to all of you for joining us. It's so nice to be here with you. I don't know if we have any club heads in the audience, but if so, hello and thank you for coming out. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for helping this dinosaur fit in. It was wonderful to be with all of you. But thank you especially to Third Place Books for hosting this event. Yeah, they've got a bunch of great virtual events coming too. It's really, thank you. Please support them doing this work, bringing authors to you from wherever you are and wherever they are by buying books from them.
And I just want to thank you, Mac, and thank you, Mike. I'm glad I was on mute the entire time because I was dying over here in my little secluded room. It was, what a wonderful way to end the afternoon.
You were choking on a biscuit.
Spencer,
Yeah.
it's actually, I didn't want
just
to,
absolutely
but it's,
choking on my own.
Spencer, it's actually not over yet. And I wanted to bring you out here for this surprise because actually Mike wrote a song for Third Place Books called Third Place Books. And
you know, it's weird. I wrote it.
Excellent.
1987. There I was on tour. And I was going from between Berlin and Hamburg, and I wrote this song, and it's called Third Place Books, and it goes like this. Third Place Books, your first place in my heart. That's the end of the song.
That was recorded, by the way. All of this is recorded. This is going to live into posterity. Just want to make sure you all understand that.
no,
Yeah.
it's my
we
ringtone.
went into it knowing it. There's nothing that we've done that we're not ashamed of.
Perfect. I'm going to go in and just edit that little bit, and we're going to buy some TV ads. And Mike, I hope there are no copyright issues with that. Maybe we can
It's yours.
work out a deal. Okay, great. Thank you.
yours.
I really appreciate that. All right. Well, good. Now that we have a new commercial jingle, I want to thank you all for coming out this afternoon. Seriously, go check out the entire MacB Kids Buy series over at thirdplacebooks.com. Come visit us if you're in the Seattle area. Other than that, on behalf of the bookstore, I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon and please be well.
Thanks everybody for coming.
Bye, everybody.